Alright, is this thing working? I think it is. I am very much not used to uh, making videos like this because of the amount of times I've restarted the recording. But I don't do intros at all. But this is going to be me talking about special offense for a long period of time. Why it's good, all of the potential mons that are viable, and uh, really good team structures with it too. So, first get into what special offense is. So, special offense is a team archetype where you use special attackers and some physical attackers in conjunction with Dugtrio to remove Blissey, or other special walls like Celebi and Jirachi, so on and so forth, to enable your dangerous special attackers to threaten the opposition to potentially clean up. Now, obviously, it's not as cut and dry as that, and I'll actually... I should have done this before I started recording, but that just goes to show you how stupid I am, and that I just chose not to do this. Oh, where are they? Uh, Private. Okay, here we go. So, wait, is it? Oh yeah, these were my, okay, here we go. Yeah, these are kind of the replays I'm going to want to pull up. And that is for later. So, what is a special offense sort of structure going to look like? So first of all, you're going to use Dugtrio because the Dugtrio is kind of like the ultimate support mon for these type of structures. You absolutely need Dugtrio. Because without Dugtrio, special offense could not work at all. In fact, it would be completely unviable as a strategy. Or it would be in super gimmick territory without Dugtrio. But Dugtrio very much is what makes these styles work because it removes, first of all, it removes Blissey. And it also puts the pressure on stuff like Snorlax and uh, Regice. Not as much Regice because Regice you would need Rock Slide for to really pressure it, but Regice is nowhere near as common. So for the most part, it's just mostly for Blissey and Celebi and Jirachi. Now, of course, these Pokemon also like to pair with each other, so it's not as cut and dry as, oh yeah, you trap Blissey and win. No. In fact, with the replays that I have here, I will be able to show you guys why uh, that sort of mindset doesn't work. But first of all, we're going to talk about the structure. So first of all, you're going to have your Dugtrio, and you're going to have Zapdos. You can make a special offense team without Zapdos, but it brings so much to your team, and you could run so many sets with it. Uh, the My favorite set to run with Zapdos is a substitute set with a good amount of special bulk. You probably don't need that much. I don't know what the benchmark is, but uh, something here. Hold on. Let's see. Feel free to let me know in the comments if this is optimal or not. The EVs. I should test it at some point to make sure, but I'm sure that there's like a special defense benchmark where you can reliably substitute up and soak up the psychic from Claydol, because Claydolls usually don't invest that much in special attack. Yeah, they're invest in bulk or speed. They almost never invest in their special attack unless they got like Ice Beam or something and they want to hit like Ments especially hard. But that is a rare scenario. And hidden power usually grass, but it depends on the team, and baton pass. But as I said, this isn't the only set that Zapdos can run. Like, it can run an agility set, so it can pass agility to like dangerous Calm Minders like Jirachi and Suicune. It can run a mix set, so you can run Jolpeck for like a way harder hit on Celebi while also still having the coverage to hit Swampert really hard, if not just outright KO it. But you don't even need Baton Pass on the mix set either. You can use Toxic, so you can hit stuff like Flygon. And, well, you aren't going to be hitting Steelix at all with this. You'll have to rely on Hidden Power Grass to hit Steelix. But thankfully, Steelix is far more rare. Hell, you could even run something like Light Screen if you wanted to, although I think Light Screen is a lot better with bulk. Yeah, Zapdos can do it all on a special offense team. And from here, you're going to want your Zap and your Dugtrio. Now, like I said, you don't need Zapdos, but it's just 90% of the time you're going to want one. And from there, you're kind of free to do what you want. But I will quickly name off the best abusers of special offense, which is Suicune. Offensive Suicune is absolutely incredible on special offense because, first of all, because of its amazing defensive stats that allow it to soak up like one or two powerful hits, one or two powerful neutral hits. And offensive Suicune has the capacity to outspeed a lot in the tier. I especially like this kind of spread on offensive Suicune because it allows Suicune to more reliably outspeed the Celebes that outspeed baseline Offkuns, but also it allows this Offkun to outspeed Breloom and to tie with Heracross, which tying with Heracross is way better than just losing to it all the time, I think. And being able to tie with Heracross, I think, is a very big idea. And and you also more reliably outspeed Magneton with this kind of speed, which is also extremely important for Suicune. Now, offensive Suicune, it doesn't have to be an offensive Suicune, by the way. It can be Crow or Sub, but offensive Suicune is like a really good fit here, obviously. And, you're going to want Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, and either Hidden Power Electric or Grass. I think Grass is more consistent, just because, having to rely on Hydro Pump for Swampert is stupid. I've had a lot of games where Hydro Pump just refuses to hit the opponent. Hidden Power Electric is also good if you're feeling iffy about Gyarados. I guess it also has the side benefit of hitting Mantine, but no one is using Mantine, so who cares? Is there any other Pokemon? Oh, and I guess it also hits Charizard without having to rely on Hydro Accuracy. Although, if you're really worried about Charizard and Pokemon like that, you should probably just use Surf as your last move. Because Surf is also better into Aerodactyl, because having to rely on Hydro Pump against Aerodactyl consistently is a fucking nightmare. Whereas if you have Surf, you don't have to worry about it as much. Yeah, that's Offkun. Where is it? Oh, yeah, Jirachi. Jirachi is obviously super, super good. The most common set is Calm Minds. My favorite Calm Mind set on special offense is Thunder, HP Grass, and Fire Punch, because Thunder allows Jirachi to hit Suicune. It destroys Suicune at +1, and it completely obliterates Milotic. While also dealing with Salamence pretty handily, because Salamence doesn't want to get paralyzed. Of course, the Thunder accuracy is shaky, so it isn't always going to be reliable against Mence, but at least having something that hits Mence quite hard while also having that really good para chance is better than nothing. And also, it will OHKO Moltres and Charizard at +1. And being able to OHKO like those two reliably every time is really, really good. While also threatening Suicune and Milotic super hard. Of course, you can take Psychic if you want to be safer against Gengar, but I honestly think that Thunder is better just because uh, hitting Suicune and friends tends to be a lot more useful. Now, Jirachi can just as easily be Metagross. You find, in fact, Metagross is often the better choice because Metagross is better into Tyranitar, and it's a better check into Aerodactyl as well. While also being better into Dugtrio. Obviously, a lot of special offense teams are going to be just fine against Dugtrio. Naturally, you aren't going to want to load up on a bunch of mons weak to it in the first place. That's a problem that Magneton offense has, is Dugtrio. Uh, Whereas you can afford to run like one or two Doug weeks and you'll be fine. Uh, Now, as I was saying, bulky Metagross tends to be better on special offense, just because, yeah, you're not going to be using Protect. You're almost always using Rock Slide. You want your bulky Metagross to be able to hit as much as possible, and because bulky Metagross is going to be able to fit Explosion. As nice as something like Agility Metagross is on these type of teams, Agility Metagross has a hard time fitting Explosion into its move set, and that's kind of bad news bears when Pokemon like Curse Snorlax are such a huge threat to you. You don't want to be complete setup fodder to something like Curse Snorlax. And just having that emergency like button against water types is always going to be super valuable. Hell, even having it against, well, you're never going to be booming on Blissey, because you can just Meteor Mash. But having it into something like Calm Mind or SD Pass Celebi, which is very important for these type of teams. Uh, Even something simple as like a Salamence, you want to have like a reliable way to instantly KO Salamence, because Salamence is a threat to special offense teams. Even something like defensive Starmie and Milotic can be a pain. Just being able to completely remove them after Skarmory and Blissey are gone is just very valuable. Of course, you aren't beholden to using this set. If you're comfortable against Tyranitar and Arrow, and I mean really, really comfortable into Tyranitar and Arrow, you can even run a mixed set. So, you know. Now uh what? I thought I had ad blocker on. That's weird. Well, uh yeah, so something like this. Uh Psychic Mash, HP Fire. Although Thunder Punch isn't going to be doing that much to Suicune and friends anyway. So, yeah, mixed is good. If you want a surprise factor attached to your Metagross. But, yeah, that's all I really got to say about the Steel type. And you do need a Steel type on special offense, I think. Steel types are way too good. Even something as offbeat as Registeel is unironically good on special offense, but we'll talk about that later. And from here, you want something that's good into electric types, because you can't just be weak to opposing Zapdos or even Gengar. I think that's completely unacceptable. So you at least need something that's good into it. Jirachi is not an electric resist at all, but it's especially shitty when you run into a Raikou, and Raikou just sets up Calm Mind all over you and you just lose. But Jirachi can deal with the likes of Zapdos and Jolteon pretty well, but you actually do want good Jolteon answers on special offense because, like I said, the benefit of special offense, or at least really really good special offense, is its ability to divide and conquer uh, as many threats as possible. So you want to be able to deal with as many threats as possible while also not being like passive. So you're going to want some defensive utility on that team. Now, obviously, Celebi fits like super well here because not only does it absorb those special attacks very well, but it also just straight up will just set up on those attackers while also being a threat in itself. So Celebi can run, just straight up Super B, uh, if modest. And it sucks that you can't hit 299 because of the HP Fire Ivy, but uh, I don't think it's that bad. At worst, uh, like this is only really matters against Ments, and I guess like certain mixed Zapdos, but mixed Zapdos are going to be, going past 299 anyway, or they should be, so it doesn't really matter all that much. This only really matters against Salamence. So, yeah, really, really good. And it deals. It's not the best way to deal with Gengar, obviously, because of Fire and Ice Punch, and you know Mix Zapdos, of course, and Salamence. But you're going to be having some backup here. And then the last could be anything. So you have your two special like sweepers. You have your Zapdos and now you want something that's really good in the late game, or something that's going to be reliable in the late game. So you have something that can check electrics pretty well. Hell, you can deal with electrics pretty well just baseline with Zapdos and +1 Suicune as is, because Jolteon doesn't entirely enjoy the prospect of eating +1 Hydro Pumps with Suicune. Of course, it doesn't really end there. So, as I was saying before I went on a side tangent, you're going to want a cleaner, something that does really well in the late game. So, something like Starmie, which is an obvious fit on special offense because it cleaves through stuff in the late game, potentially. You got to be careful because of stuff like Aerodactyl and DD Tar, because a lot of DD Tar either run bulk to survive Hydro Pump, and because you don't have spikes, it's not like you can play around that. Uh, Tyranitar that have bulk to lift Starmie is going to be significant, or Tyranitar that have HP Bug just to take it out anyway. So you are going to want backup against Aerodactyl, which in a team lineup like this, you probably aren't going to want Starmie. You're probably going to want something like something that's better into Aerodactyl in the late game. I'd say like DD Tar, for example. Uh, well, I mean this isn't too good in Aerodactyl, but you can take a hit from Arrow, and you can take a hit from Arrow and KO it back. Uh, what else would be good? I know there's something that's better into like Arrow in the late game, but I don't want to say Jirachi because uh, where is it? Is it down here? Uh, God, I look like an idiot right now. uh, where is it? Am I stupid? Oh, yeah, there it is. Swampert. Um, Now you might think to yourself, Swampert in the late game, what? Swampert is a really good cleaner for special offense in the late game, especially more offensive sets that could take advantage of a lot of the popular physical late game cleaners like Flygon, Salamence, well, not so much Gyarados, although you can mess up Gyarados very nicely if you want to. And obviously Tyranitar, because Suicune is very iffy against Tyranitar and Aerodactyl, because Suicune actually doesn't resist Rock, and with a spread like this, you're only going to be taking one Rock Slide, and if you miss Hydro or you get flinched, that's it. Whereas Swampert actually having the Rock resist and being able to be strong enough to muscle through them is excellent late game. And Swampert on teams like this could run a lot. Now, the most traditional offensive Swampert set is Hydro, Ice Beam, and then whatever last you decide to take. Focus Punch is very popular in something like this. And then I think this is the best spread right here, by the way. Obviously, you probably want to speed creep. So, like, I think 84 is needed for Bolt Swampert. Because I think Bolt Swampert is 156. I could be wrong though. Here, I'll actually pull it up on my phone just to make sure. Yeah, Swampert is 156. And also, it outspeeds Zero Speed Tar. And then the rest usually goes in bulk. But this isn't the only option, of course, because you don't need to run the speed either. I think being this is completely fine, especially if you want more bulk. Hell, bulky Swampert on special offense, I think, is really underrated because just having a Pokemon that can reliably just sit there and eat hits and take absolutely nothing from attacks is super underrated on an offensive team. And you might think like, oh, why wouldn't you want like an offensive Swampert? Like, wouldn't you want to muscle through? Yes, that's good, but like Swampert is such an incredible physical wall and just sits on everything so well that it might honestly make your offense better if you run a defensive pert. I don't think there's anything wrong with running it, especially because if you want to run like a more offensive Metagross, like say Agility, which by the way, I still think bulky Agility is really good on Metagross. Especially something like this. Like I've ran this. This avoids a 2-hit KO from Modest Zapdos. It's an incredible spread. I love it. And even that, even like with just this little bit of investment, you still hit 369 attack. That's incredible for Metagross, but I'm getting sidetracked. This isn't like, you could run an offensive spread. Defensive pert is always going to be good. I cannot fathom when defensive pert can be bad. Now, of course, there are some issues that you have with taking a defensive pert, and that's that this Swampert is going to have a harder time breaking through Skarmory, which is something that you should consider. If you do use a defensive pert, it might be in your best interest to run not so much protect, but refresh. So offensive refresh pert, or even like defensive refresh pert with refresh over protect, just because like having your Swampert get neutered by a toxic from a Skarmory, or even something like a Tyranitar or Blissey is so lame. Even Jirachi, it's just really, really lame. Or getting neutered by Gengar without a grass move. with Refresh, you can actually pivot into those status moves and refresh them off and continue to be a threat, or just really, really annoying. But this isn't the only thing that Swampert can do, because Swampert also has some more experimental sets on offensive teams, like non-leftover sets. So there is Salic. Salic is the most popular, like non-leftovers pert. And Salic is actually pretty good cleaner on special offense because like I said, a lot of the stuff late game uh, tend to be physical sweepers or Jirachi, which a team like this is pretty well prepared for Jirachi, which it because of the Dugtrio and the Metagross and the strong neutral attacks it's going to be forced to take. It doesn't really get too many opportunities. And hell, having a good defensive Swampert actually is better in that regard because you have an extra Pokemon for Jirachi, and Jirachi is completely unfair and cheap and stupid, and I fucking hate it. And if you can have as many checks to Jirachi as you can afford, take it. Being weak to Jirachi fucking sucks. And you might be weak to Jirachi and you might not even know it. But as I said, yeah, Endeavor Pert is a good cleaner late game because not only are you threatening the likes of Dragon Dance, Tyranitar, and Salamence, but you're also threatening to just sweep them outright with Swampert. Now, obviously, Endeavor Swampert has issues with like Starmie and Milotic, and even Aerodactyl, which is the whole point of why you'd probably want to run a Swampert on a special offense team to begin with, is so you could be safer in Aerodactyl, because Aerodactyl is the biggest threat to these kind of special offense teams, because it threatens like huge damage and it outspeeds everything typically. In special offense, the only Pokemon that tend to be faster than Aerodactyl are agility users and Jolteon. And Jolteon never wins the Aerodactyl Jolteon speed tie. Anyway, sue me, try and prove me wrong. You will lose that argument. It never beats Aerodactyl in that. But the Swampert will also be better against more frailer offensive teams that have stuff like Gengar in the back, or more offense, or like their own Swampert. But there's also a more experimental set that I saw Arctic use, and that's Subbataya Swampert. Did I misspell? Of course I did. So, like, what this set does is you have Zapdos pass and agility to Swampert, and then you sub down, and then you get the Bataya boost, and it kind of acts like a mini Kingdra, except unlike Kingdra, you have the rock resist still, so you don't even need to sub down if you want. You could sit there and take a hit or two, and then the Pataya will proc naturally. And you don't even need something like Endeavor on this set. You can probably run like Hidden Power Grass to absolutely destroy opposing Swampert at +1. Or hell, Hidden Power Electric. Which ties back to something else I wanted to talk about, which is Hidden Power on Swampert, which I think is very underrated on offensive Swamperts as a whole, because Swampert, unironically, is its worst enemy. You know, it can get set on by itself, and can even have stupid problems of something like Gyarados, which, unironically, you know, because there's no HP Electrics anywhere, Gyarados is actually kind of a pain in the ass for a team like this. But then you slot in Hidden Power Electric on Swampert, and good night. Although, I want to. God, my OCD is gonna drive me crazy. So if this were like an actual team, my water bottles. There's some like over there, I think. Oh. Uh, like if this was like an actual team I was making, it would be. Hold on, I gotta change all this. So. Uh, okay, I wasn't saying anything for a while, but if this was like a real team, this is kind of what I would build. So, I am now going to go in depth of every single viable Pokemon potentially in Special Offense, and then after that, we're going to talk about we're actually going to look over some replays and talk about the advantages and some of the disadvantages that Special Offense has. So here we go. Starting off from the top, Aerodactyl. Um, well, since Special Offense is mandated with Ductrio, Aerodactyl sucks. I think Aerodactyl sucks without spikes anyway. Aerodactyl is the best spikes abuser in the tier. And if you're not using Aerodactyl with spikes, what are you doing? Also, if it's some like SD Pass Celebi garbage, you're not going to be using Aerodactyl on spikeless. I've tried Blissey on Special Offense before, but because its attack stat is so awful, when you go to beat up with Dugtrio, it will always show that it does like 1% to Blissey, and your opponent is automatically going to know that it's a Blissey if it hasn't come out yet. Uh, and plus, I think Blissey is generally outclassed by Regice, which is a way better attack stat, or a special attack stat, has a better attack stat too. It's ice type, so it gets ice stab too. So Regice is generally more offensively threatening than Blissey. Blissey does have recovery and a whole host of utility moves, and Blissey isn't ever bad really on offensive teams. So uh, could be worth of experimentation. I would only really use it on a team with like a bunch of like attack stats. So if you have like a Tyranitar, so like if you have something like Tyranitar, Metagross, let's say Salamence, you're gonna want Zapdos, and the Blissey. Yeah, Blissey. So you got some really big attack stats here, and then Duck Trio, and yeah, you kind of like let it up, like let it rip with Dugtrio. That could work with like Blissey. It's actually something I might try out at some point. But that is like the way I would use Blissey in special offense. Breloom has been experimented with on special offense. Wait, did the connection to internet? What? What's happening? Why is it pausing? What is happening? What? My internet just have a seizure? This is really strange. Are you kidding me? Oh, you're fucking kidding me. Okay. Yeah, you're seeing it here, guys. My internet is being... Is no way that my internet just went out while I was in the middle of recording. No way. Did it really? Come on. Come on. There we go. Okay, there we go. Uh, I also, you guys got a look at what I've been experimenting with, builder-wise, with like the Mag P2 and the, this type of structure, which I think is really cool. What was I? So before I was rudely interrupted by my internet deciding to be an asshole, uh, did it disconnect again? Unfucking believable. So as I was saying, Breloom has been experimented with on special offense teams in the past by the likes of Triangles. And while I do think Sleep is really good on special offense, I still have yet to really be fully on board with Breloom myself. If I were to use Breloom, though, I'd probably use a substitute set. So, like, substitute, focus punch, and probably Mach, just for... I know Sky Uppercut is probably more, like, optimal there, but, whatever. Who cares? Mach allows Breloom to also pick off weakened Aerodactyl, too, which, as I said before, Aerodactyl is a massive threat to special offense teams, so being able to hit Aerodactyl or finish it off is really, really valuable. The biggest issue that Breloom has, though, by far, is my fucking Jesus Christ. Please, please, no, no, you're not gonna. All right. I fucking hate my internet sometimes. Like the one time I decide to fucking record, it decides to do this. Asshole internet. All right. We already talked about Celebi. Celebi's obviously really great. Charizard in theory, can do something. So like, uh, your basic Charizard set. Even if you really wanted to, and I'm talking like if you're, you want to become a fisherman and you want to become like a psychopath, you can make Charizard your beat up user, which has a million problems of its own. First of all, I think beat up Charizard fucking sucks. Because you're putting in a Pokemon that's weak to Aerodactyl, which in of itself isn't terrible. I think having a Pokemon on special offense weak to Aerodactyl in of itself isn't that bad. What is bad is when that Pokemon is reliant on using beat up. Why? I'm gonna get on my fucking PS4 really quick because I actually want to see if I'm having internet problems here. No, it's just on my piece of shit computer. Why are you such a fucking asshole? Oh, so yeah, my internet is just... What a fucking pain in the ass. What a pain in the ass. Fucking kidding me. Please. Please and thank you. Oh! Yeah, thanks for that. Oh. I wouldn't go to such lengths if I desperately wanted to release this video. Um, yeah, you don't want that in your beat up abuser. And even if you just want Charizard to be like your mixed attacker, Charizard has like a bunch of issues in that you have the usual Mence issue where you don't have a good move to hit Mence or Gyarados. You don't have a really good move to hit Aerodactyl. I guess you could run Rock Slide, but lol. If you're going to run a fire type, use Moltres or Houndoom. I do not think that Charizard is a good fit on special offense at all. Of course, I could be wrong, but, you know. Claydol, unironically, can be good on special offense. Not just because of spin support, but Claydol does actually have a good offensive set, if you can believe that, which is this. You guys are going to be driven insane by what I'm about to do, but just bear with me for a moment. Wait, I'm dumb. You don't run this, you run uh this. Like, actually, no, wait, I'm an idiot. Why isn't the area? Or you know what? You know what? We're gonna do something even braver. You know what? Forget that I said anything. This is stupid. Alright. Let's see. Fortress has seen some experimentation on special offense before as like a really aggressive spiker. So, and it's kind of like used in the same way that it's used in Ubers, is like spikes and then just a bunch of like really aggressive. You don't even put spin on it either. You use like EQ and hidden power bug. Or if you really want to be that guy, you can use counter. I think honestly this is the most optimal way to do it. Because you aren't going to be giving a shit about Gengar. Like, who cares if Gengar comes in? You're not looking to spin on, like, really spin. You're just looking to spike. Of course, you're going to be completely useless against Taunt Scarm, but, you know, Taunt Scarm is a bit on the rare side, and I think you can afford to cheat a little bit on against Taunt Scarm. Especially because the reward for getting spikes up is so massive for special offense teams, because not only do you have like the special offense part of it, but you also have a spikes element to it. That's absolutely excellent, I'd say. And plus you also have a boom. And unlike the other offensive, quote unquote offensive spikers, like we'll also discuss Cloyster here really briefly too, because Cloyster does have a niche in that it's actually really fast. So you want to run something like this, and probably a speed nature, just so you can outspeed stuff like Suicune and offensive Suicune, because they need to take Timid to outspeed Cloyster. But you can use Cloyster as well. The thing that sucks about Cloyster is I really wish I could use Hydro Pump. If Cloyster could learn Hydro Pump, I would use it 100%. But because it doesn't, I really am not too interested in Cloyster, funnily enough. And Gengar is a very obvious choice too for special offense because Gengar can literally do anything you want it to. Uh, Obviously the standard, like bulky fast set. So with like Timid, I think it's 176. Yeah, 176, and then Men's Bulk, and then the rest is in, yeah, like right here. And I think Hypnosis is probably better on special, just because for the same reason why like Breloom is viable at all on special offense. Hypnosis is obviously great, and on Hypnosis sets, I really like Hidden Power Grass and Fire Punch. Just because like the most common Pokemon that are going to be coming into Gengar and special offense teams are Tyranitar, Metagross, Jirachi, and the ability to completely shut them down with Hypnosis is one thing. Having moves to hit them as well, like super hard, is also really good. And you don't even need a bulky set on Gengar either, because if you are absolutely insane, you can drop some speed on Gengar and run like a Modest Gar. So, say you want, I don't know how much you need through 308, but yeah, that tends to be good. And then you run this much, and then you have like a Modest Gengar. Yeah, Modest Gengar is awesome, but this is like probably the best set that you can run. Is like a Modest Gengar that hits pretty hard with coverage, but Gengar isn't beholden to use like any of this really. Like you could run Hypnosis, you could run its classic Will-O-Wisp set with a little bit of bulk. If you're really insane, like we're talking super crazy, you can run Hypnosis and Will-O-Wisp and then have like Thunderbolt as your stab. Not stab because it doesn't get stab off of Thunderbolt, but it's like your sole attacking move because you're gonna have to be careful into Jolteon, obviously. I guess like Magneton, but yeah, that works. Gengar is really versatile. It can run anything it wants. But as I said, I think the Hypnosis set that I just showed you guys is probably the best with Fire Punch because Fire Punch also makes it to where Gengar isn't walled by Magneton, which can be a bit of a nuisance on special offense teams sometimes. Being able to deal with Magneton or even just electric types as a whole is pretty nifty. So, and you don't even need to really even need. I just said need in the same sentence. Shame on me. You aren't beholden to run Explosion either, because you can also run Destiny Bond on a Gengar as well, or Taunt. But Taunt is generally like better with spikes, so I wouldn't entirely recommend it. What's next? Unironically, I think Gyarados could work on special offense. So, if I were to, what would I build with a Gyarados special offense? Oh, you know what I would do? Here. Here, let's see. This is kind of embarrassing. I gotta look this up, but does it not say what the... Here, I gotta look this up on my phone again, because I'm an idiot, and I forgot what benchmark Gyarados runs for Jolly. Uh, I think it just, yeah, I think it just needs to run Jolly. Yeah. Uh, this is so stupid. I can't believe I'm doing this, but here we go. No, that's not. What's the... Is it mild? Yeah. Dun, dun. I should team build with music on more often. This is very relaxing. Uh, yeah, we might as well have like one boom on this. Yeah, you guys get to see my team building live. My thought processes behind team building. Should we just do an off Kun? Do I want a more defensive? Having Metagross be like my sole DD chart. Imagine if they have DD Arrow. That's gonna be a fucking nightmare to. I have double intimidate. We'll cheat. We'll cheat. Who cares? Fuck it. Are we weaker in the Flygot? Not really. Weaker in the Celebi? Not really. We can take grass. Plus T-Wave is really good. Unironically, it might be good. Unironically. No, what did I just... What? What? Why? Why you did this? I was busy, cunt. Thank you. Alright, and then... Why does he keep doing that? God, I hope I'm not, like, secretly fucking up my recording by tapping my arrow keys. That would suck ass if I did. Because I've gotten so far. But, yeah, this unironically might not be bad. Maybe. I don't know. Anyway, Heracross, I am not sold on special offense. Not sold on it at all. Once upon a time I really liked Heracross, but recently I don't know. It just with Skarm, just OHKOing you with Drill Peck and Mence and Gira. Not so much Gengar, but uh, Dugtrio and I don't know. If I were to use Heracross, I'd probably use the classic Swords Dance set or Reversal. I think with a little bit, I think I have a Weather Clear team somewhere where I have Reversal Heracross. I think that's like the best way to make Reversal Heracross work is on special offense because you can fit Weather Clear pretty easily on special offense. That was weird. And Reversal Heracross is really unexpected and it's really powerful. So we've talked about Jirachi. Oh, I also wanted to mention that Mixed Jirachi and even Choice Band is super good on special offense. I haven't used Choice Band personally on special offense, but I probably could make it work. And Mixed Jirachi is a really good lead on special offense because it threatens the hell out of Tyranitar, can paralyze Zapdos and threaten it pretty heavily. It could use a Lum Berry if you want to shrug off status moves from the likes of Zapdos, uh, Sleep Leads as well. Like, you completely ruin Jinx with a Lum Berry, especially if it gets paralyzed. Although Jinx isn't that common. Yeah, you already decimate Smeargle, so it doesn't really matter. But that was just something I wanted to bring up. Jolteon, as I said, is good on special offense. And some people might be like, oh, why wouldn't you use Raikou? That's stupid not to use it. First of all, Raikou does not outspeed. Raikou does not outspeed Dugtrio. Jolteon does. And Jolteon has the potential to tie with not only itself, but also Aerodactyl, which is, as I've stated before, Aerodactyl is a big threat to special offense teams. And I've only talked about Aerodactyl. I haven't really been talking about Blissey or Celebi, but I'll be talking about the more defensive-leaning stuff as we go into the replays. Yeah, obviously, Jolteon is good. Magneton is something I've thought about on special offense teams before, and it's probably not bad. It's defensive. Its defenses are bad. Like, obviously, you'd probably want, like, a more offensive Magneton. Uh, because you are using special offense, you could kind of just go crazy with Magneton if you wanted to, and run. You'd obviously want like T-Wave because T-Wave is too good, and then you'd obviously run HP Grass because the whole reason why like HP Grass is kind of mid on Magneton for the most part is because you're kind of fishing into Swampert without Blissey or Swampert without Dugtrio. Hidden Power Grass is also useful for hitting Dugtrio as well, but a lot of Dugtrio that confidently switch into Magneton have bulk to survive Hidden Power Grass anyway, so Hidden Power Grass often doesn't do that much, but with Blissey out of the picture, it's very much a viable option on Magneton. And me, as Darth Tyros, I love to run Magnet Thunder because Magnet Thunders on Magneton are some of the strongest attacks in the tier. It's ludicrously strong, and there isn't too much else that you're going to be running on Magneton anyway. Like you're not using like Reflect, or I guess you could use Weather Clear on Mag, uh, which circles back to Heracross. If you're gonna use a Heracross, a Mag Dugtrio might be like the way to go. Although, how many offensive styles are viable with Mag Dugtrio? I guess that warrants more investigation. Offensive Milotic is obviously really, really, really niche, and I genuinely think that offensive Milotic is outclassed by Politoed, because Politoed has, one, it has the water immunity, and two, it also has Feith, which allows Politoed to steal an opponent's item, and uh, Milotic does not have that. However, Milotic does have Mirror Coat, and people might be like, Darth Tyros, you're fucking crazy, or you're dumb, but hear me out. Recover isn't going to be mattering that much on an offensive Milotic at all. Like, you're going to be taking a million from mixed attacks anyway. And Modest Milotic has the same special attack as Starmie, so Modest Hydro Pumps are going to be decimating non-resists anyway. Uh, and look at how high its base defenses are. Uninvested Milotic is going to be able to tank Thunderbolts and Giga Drains pretty nicely from full. And Mirror Coat allows you to completely turn the tables on things that you'd think would otherwise threaten Milotic a lot. Like, just mentioning the obvious Jolteon and Zapdos. But even, like, the likes of Starmie, you can turn the tables on Starmie. Celebi, obviously. Gengar as well. Gengar's a huge one. Like, the biggest problem with, like, a lot of offensive waters is they don't have a lot of immediate ways of threatening, like, immediate OHKOs on Gengar. Whereas with Milotic, you can Mirror Coat, and then Gengar just drops. Or something like Magneton. Like, Magneton, I don't know if you live Magnet Thunderbolt, though. You probably don't. So, maybe don't do that. But, yeah, it's certainly something that's... And plus, if you don't want to go modest, look at Milotic's speed. 287 is absolutely excellent. Because that allows Milotic to outspeed Moltres. It's outspeeding a lot of Zapdos. It's outspeeding even certain Salamence. You outspeed Heracross. That's huge. And, like, there's some other offbeat stuff that you outspeed. Like, you outspeed Jolly Claydol. You outspeed Timid Mag. You outspeed... What is it? I mean, you're outspeeding, like, Bulky Celebi and stuff like that anyway. But, yeah, the biggest ones are Jolly Claydol and Moltres, which has a lot of surprise factor. Only Modest Moltres, though, because Timid Moltres has seen a little bit more use nowadays, because Timid Moltres is good out of outspeeding a lot of the Modest Zapdoses that are running around, and even, like Jolly Heracross, which otherwise outspeeds Moltres. Salamence is obviously really good on special offense. I mean, it's Salamence, for fuck's sake. I showed earlier where I used, like, a mixed Salamence set with Rock Slide. But Salamence on special offense can actually go on the complete, like, special side of things. Like, it can run, like, a fully special set with, you could easily fit, like, Hydro Pump and Power Grass and Fire Blast. But I've been experimenting a lot recently. I've even come up with a Dragon Dance, a bluff Dragon Dance set, and what this set does is you run Dragon Claw and Hydro Pump, and what this set allows Salamence to do is that this is a Salamence that sets up a DD in the face of something like Celebi or like Skarmory, and it protects, like assuming it's gonna burn like a Fire Blast PP, and you set up like a Dragon Dance on it, and now you're a Salamence that reliably not only outspeeds Aerodactyl, but you just OHKO it straight up with Hydro Pump if you hit. And you also have, you have the Dragon Stab, which, because you're using a special Dragon Dance set, you really don't care about being intimidated because you're just using special attacks. But this also has implications of just doing really nasty stuff like late game if you really want it to. It's definitely a more gimmicky set, but I think it is really cool and has some merit. Where Skarm, unironically, like Skarm is so good. It's like the same way how we were talking about Fortress earlier and the other offensive spikers. Skarmory is so good and such a amazing Pokemon that it could very easily fit on special offense, I think. Because Skarmdug by itself is already incredible. It has multiple benefits. Hell, on special offense, you can more reliably run Yellow Skarm, because Yellow Skarm has a lot of synergy with Dugtrio, as it is, and Yellow Skarm, the benefit of Yellow Skarm is it's outspeeding everything else, but also it has, it's able to fit attacks, like Hidden Power Ground and Drill Peck. So you use Dugtrio to batter something like Tyranitar into submission, and you also have Hidden Power Ground to finish it off. So, and obviously, standard defensive Skarm is really, really OP, like Giga OP, and you should use it. Snorlax. Oh god, here we go. So, I think Snorlax without Mag is dog shit. Or at least offensive Snorlax without Magneton is so bad. And if you're not using Magneton, you need Blissey. Blissey with like like you should have some sort of support regardless for Snorlax, whether if it's Pursuit or Spin. But like Magneton for like offensive Snorlax, which you're gonna want an offensive Snorlax and an offensive team. You don't want a fucking weird defensive lax that doesn't make any sense. I guess like Magdug you can fit like Snorlax. We were talking about Heracross earlier, or like a Slack Heracross with like Magdug, but then again that's like a really weird team structure. I don't even know if that would work, because like that type of team structure seems like it's completely dicked on by like Salamence, and I think that's at that point it's not even really special offense anymore, because like it's supposed to be about the special attackers, and and of course you could run like no support and just Dug, but I think that is fucking dog shit into so much, and yeah, we're not even gonna talk about Snorlax too much anymore. Starmie, we talked about Starmie earlier. It's obviously really good, but I think Starmie has a bit more room with like more experimental options on special offense. So obviously you're gonna run like the offensive set, right? But like I said, there is a bit more room for experimentation. You can run Modest. A few months ago, I was preaching that like Modest Starmie was better than like Timid, but I was completely wrong. Timid Starmie is incredible. Gengar is that good. Being able to outspeed Endeavor Swampert is really valuable, and tying with other opposing offensive Starmie is way too good. So, I mean, obviously the power of Modest Starmie is ridiculous, but being able to outspeed those like Pokemon and those sets of Pokemon is so important that I honestly think that you should take Timid every time. And the last move is always like up in the air with like offensive Starmie. You could do Surf if you're a complete pussy, and you're like you want to be that guy. It's just like, oh, I don't want to use Hydro Pump on Metagross. Why are you using Starmie if you don't want to use fucking Hydro Pump? Why are you using offensive Starmie if you don't want to use Hydro Pump? Why are you using special offense? What's wrong with you? Um, if you have like weather support, Thunder is funny on Starmie. A very, very funny option. This is something that Micmer used some time ago. Is Psych Up Starmie. So what Psych Up Starmie does is it completely turns the tables on Suicune. So if you are building like a special offense team that might be weaker to like rest like certain Suicune sets, like Crow, or rest Suicune as a whole, Psych Up Starmie could be good there. Let's see. Hidden Power Grass is good on Starmie because it's really lame when your Starmie is getting beaten by Swampert. But then you use Hidden Power Grass, and then, obviously Good Night. And I'd say it hits Lantern, but Lantern's not a Pokemon, so who cares? Is there anything? Oh, and it hits Quagsire. Lol. LOL! You hit Quagsire, who cares? This is just primarily for Swampert, right? And, then there's Psychic, which completely and utterly obliterates Gengar. Breloom, I mean, is dropping the Ice Beam, but if it wasn't dropping the Ice Beam, it's definitely going to drop the Psychic. Psychic is just blowing it away. And also, Psychic is a reliable secondary stab that also hits Swampert as well. So it hits Swampert pretty hard, and it hits, Gengar is just most of the time getting completely destroyed. It has to be really bulky to take a Psychic from Starmie, and I believe it's not really going to be able to KO it then, because it's not going to have the investment for it. Recover, obviously, is good, because Longevity on Starmie is really, really scary. I guarantee there might be some, like, utility uses for, like, Reflect on Starmie. Maybe. I'm not too sure. Oh, T-Wave, too. T-Wave on offensive Starmie is really, really, really underrated. So, like, what T-Wave does is it, so, it hits Gengar, obviously, but also, it completely ruins Select Heracross. That's another reason for Modest too, is Modest Psychic will completely blow Heracross away if it attempts to do some sub-select stuff in front of Starmie. T-Wave is also really good into like Jolteon. It's really good for Milotic too, because it forces Milotic to waste a turn to refresh, and it allows you to more reliably beat Milotic in the 1v1. Yeah, it's really good. And it oh, it's also good for Snorlax, because Snorlax, you might think, oh, Snorlax isn't gonna give a shit about T-Wave. Snorlax hates getting full parad. The worst thing that can happen to Snorlax is getting full parad. And yeah, and it's good for some more situational stuff too. You don't really care as much slowing down Salamence, because like you're going to be OHKOing Salamence anyway, so it doesn't matter. Oh, and I also want to discuss Substitute. Uh, Substitute is obviously really good on Starmie, because it allows you to sub on like a Tyranitar, and if their whole game plan is to bring in Aerodactyl to revenge kill it, Starmie just substituted, and now Starmie is going to just completely bulldoze you. Uh, I'm sure there's like some like super nerd that's used Blizzard Starmie before, but Blizzard is fucking awful because of the 70%. And I don't think there's some. Maybe there's some like use for Mimic, but I think if you want to copy like I don't know uh ability like stat changes, you just use Psych Up, right? So yeah, that's all I gotta say on Starmie. It's really good. I think I've said all I want to say about Suicune and Swampert. Uh oh yes, Tyranitar. The best Pokemon in the metagame. What's there to even say about Tyranitar? It can do everything that it wants because it's Tyranitar on an offensive team, and Tyranitar on an offensive team is completely badass. Why do I have a runny nose? Oh, that's distracting. But yeah, I could really do anything. Dragon Dance is probably the best, but Tyranitar has so many options on special offense that I don't want to go through them all, because I feel like this video is going on too long already. But actually, no, fuck that. This video isn't long enough. But yeah, Dragon Dance, Substitute, and even then the Substitute variants vary a lot. Like there's the what's referred to as Viltar, which is sub Rock Slide, EQ, and Focus Punch. That's the classic Sub Punch set. And then there's Boatar, which is Substitute, Crunch, Thunder, and HP Grass on Tyranitar. That set is really good. Or if it's not HP Grass, it's Focus Punch to more reliably deal with opposing Tyranitar and Snorlax. So there's that, and we've talked about Zapdos extensively. Alakazam is fucking horrible. It is complete irredeemable garbage. I've tried Zam in the past on special offense. It's so bad. It's so fucking bad. I cannot describe in words how fucking horrible Mence is. And you might think, how is a Pokemon with this much speed and this much special attack bad? Look at its typing. Look at this. Just look at it. And you might think, oh, Gengar's defensive stats are bad. Yeah, Gengar's defensive stats aren't great at all. But Gengar is a ghost type. It has Levitate. It's immune to spikes, and it has a god tier defensive typing, and has the tools to survive. Whereas Alakazam dies when it tries to do anything. What soundtrack is this? Oh yeah, this is from Black and White. I was about to say I recognize that. Uh, Armaldo might have a niche. I don't know. Maybe it does. I guess if you're really afraid of But then again, this isn't a good Selby answer. You don't resist grass. What am I talking about? Articuno. Articuno probably sucks. Blaziken definitely sucks because. Oh, did I talk about Moltres? I completely bypassed Moltres. So yeah, the biggest reason why Charizard sucks on special offense is because Moltres exists. The standard Moltres set. Will-O-Wisp, Flamethrower, Grass, and Fire Blast. It's great here, obviously. But also, Sunny Day is good here too, because what's better than a fire-type Pokemon that's already as strong as Zapdos is trucking through everything. How about a Moltres that sets up Sun for its teammates, so it supports the likes of Heracross and, you know, Snorlax, if you're really down for that. And hell, if you really wanted to be that guy, you could run garbage like Exeggutor. Also, you might be thinking, oh, Blaziken is a really good fit on special offense. It threatens Tar, threatens Metagross, threatens Skarm, threatens Blissey, threatens all these, like, threatens Gengar. Jirachi, blown away by Fire-type moves. Celebi, blown away by Fire-type moves. Completely disregard the fact that they're going to outspeed you and KO you with Psychic moves. Also disregard the fact that you're getting complete... Well, also, side tangent here. Why are you using a Pokemon on special offense that's getting humiliated by Starmie? Why? Defensive Starmie. At no point should you have a Pokemon in special offense that gets completely dicked on by Starmie. I mean, there's like defensive Swampert, but it's a defensive Swampert for fuck's sake. That's something that helps you out with Aerodactyl. You know, who cares? You're just gonna kill Starmie anyway. You know, having a Pokemon, and also weak to defensive Starmie. You're just getting wrecked by Salamence and Gyarados for no reason. And you might say, oh, well, they could dick on Moltres. Yeah, they're not switching into Moltres, first of all, because Moltres is, they're not going to very well switch into Moltres' powerful fire-type attacks, and neither do they want to take Will-O-Wisp. So, yeah, case closed. Blaziken sucks. Moltres is actually good. Could Crobat work on special offense? What do you get, Crobat? Or we're finding this out together, audience. Poison Fang is a Gen 3 move? I have no clue. Why is it so bad? 30% chance to bat. God, Poison Fang is garbage. It's really bad. Holy shit, it's bad. I guess you would run what? Hidden power. This thing sucks. Yeah, don't use Crobat, guys. It's bad. They're not using Dodrio or Donphan either. I've thought about Dragonite on special offense before. I've come to the conclusion that... Wait a minute. Dragonite... Hold on. So let's look at the moves, right? Incredible moves. Good stats to use them. Horrible speed. Now you might be thinking to yourself, Darth Tyros base 80 speed is not that bad. Look here. Alright? Just look here. It is the most First of all, you have to fully invest in speed, right? So you go here and you run a defense 284. Not bad, right? Except it's still kind of mid because there's still a lot of stuff that's outspeeding you. And you're taking a slot over Salamence. And you're still not outspeeding Salamence. I mean, you have Inner Focus, but this thing isn't gonna survive a Tyranitar +1 DD-Tar Rock Slide. You're not going to invest in a D-Knight that's gonna survive Aerodactyl. So no, I think Dragonite's not good. Dusclops is bad. Entei might have use. But what's Entei's speed? Base 100? Base 90, though. Oof. Compared to Moltres' base 120. Dug weak, too. Gotta remember that. It's weak to ground. Which is a big deal. So I guess I'd run, Flame Flower, Power Grass. Other moves you get Entei. Nothing. Entei doesn't really get anything. Yeah. I guess you could run like Substitute, but same issue that Blaziken has, except way worse. Espeon. Really niche Calm Mind passer, so you gotta run max defense on Espeon if you want to Calm Mind passive it, so it can survive a hit from Aerodactyl and Dugtrio. It's okay. Uh, it's very mid. Like, I don't know. It's just kind of like it's okay, but sorry about that. Uh, it's just you know, it's Espeon. Kind of sucks. Exeggutor also sucks. Look at the speed. Awful. Awful speed. Special attacker that's 4 times weak to Bug and outsped by Tar. Oof. It does have good moves, though. It's really good moves. But I think its speed stat is way too shitty. It's, you know. Gardevoir has potential. It has Trace, which is really good. And, I don't know. What set would you run on Gardevoir? Uh, Psychic, uh, Thunderbolt, Ice Punch? Yeah, I guess this wouldn't be bad. Uh, no, you'd run a Fire Punch. I guess HP Grass too, yeah. Because, you want to be able to hit Tyranitar. And, I bet Modest is good here. Yeah, because you hit +1, you hit Tar like super, super hard. So, yeah, Guard is probably not that bad, honestly. Hariyama is probably not that bad on special offense too, because you got the I would use it with Sand personally, like a Tyranitar, uh, and then like a like Cross Chop. Probably not Cross Chop. Cross Chop sucks. Uh, Focus Punch, Brick Break, uh, Rock Slide, and Knock Off. Because Knockoff is Hariyama's calling card. You could probably run like a bulky attacker with it, and it might be good. Not too sure though, because fighting types still need to be explored on special offense more. Ooh, Houndoom. I've been wanting to talk about Houndoom. So Houndoom runs Will-O-Wisp, Fire Blast, Crunch. You're not going to be doing Pursuit stuff at all with Houndoom. No one cares about Pursuit. You are just going to be running Timid, 317, really good speed tier. You're outspeeding quite a bit. You tie with Jinx. So you're outspeeding like 308 Gars, Modest Zapdos, Jolly Heracross. Outspeeding a lot of stuff with Houndoom. And it's reasonably strong. It's the only Pokemon in the game that completely walls Celebi. So, unless it's some like SD, unless if it's its SD set, but you're still threatening Celebi really hard, regardless. And you're threatening a lot of stuff in the tier in general. Like with Flash Fire, you can switch in the Moltres and Charizard. You don't want to be religiously switching in the Charizard because of Substitute and Focus Punch, but you can switch in the Charizard in the pinch. Obviously, you threaten Okos on Heracross and Jirachi. Metagross doesn't want anything to do with Stab Fire Blast. Stab Fire Blasts are the few things that could Oko Metagross, and baseline Houndoom without like special attacking boosting nature is stronger than Charizard, so it's definitely going to be ripping Metagross to shreds. You have a stab move that can destroy Starmie on the Switch too, so there's that. Will-O-Wisp is a really good defensive tool, so you're crippling physical stuff. So like Snorlax doesn't really want anything to do with you. And you can cripple Tyranitar as well, which is really good. So yeah, Houndoom is simple, but I think it's a really good choice in special offense. Oh, Jynx. Okay, so Jynx, I think is better in the mid game when it comes in on something that's sacked already. Could be okay as a lead too, but it's really inconsistent. Jynx is, as BKC once said, it's the most boomer bust Pokemon in the entire tier. It can, do its job, sleep something, do some damage on something else, dies, kind of acts as like a mini Breloom. Or it can miss Lovely Kiss and be completely and utterly useless, and then you're down 5-6, and you slam your fist on your desk in a mad rage because you're using, you're expecting this Pokemon to hit its move, and then all of a sudden it doesn't, and you're all sad. Yeah, Jynx is not very reliable when it comes to consistency. But there's also games where Jynx crits and freezes everything and is completely and utterly dominant and completely destroys the opposition. I think the best set is taunt last, just so you stop stuff like Jirachi and Suicune from setting up on you. You also stop Blissey from just coming in and just doing stuff. You force Blissey to deal with you directly, as opposed to just statusing you and switching into something that can deal with you, not having to worry about Dugtrio coming in. And obviously, it's going to be running this with Timid, because you want that 317 speed stat. So yeah, that's Jynx. Jynx can also use like here, I just want to show this really quick. A Mean Look Parasong set. So like, where's Mean Look? Yeah, Mean Look, Parasong, and Ice Beam. But like, that's really, really gimmicky, and yeah, I wouldn't really recommend it. Oh, Kingdra is awesome. Kingdra is really, really good. So, what is it? Max 104, I think it is. Yeah, 104, and then 152, so you outspeed Jolly Tar and Rain. And then you can run the classic Kingdra set, which is Rain Dance, Surf, not Hydro Pump, because like once you're in Rain, it doesn't really matter. Ice Beam, and then usually like Hidden Power Electric. You can take Grass too if you really want to slam Swampert, but once you're in Rain, it tends not to matter. Like in Rain, you're just clicking Surf anyway. But of course, Leftovers is good. You could run Lumberry if you want to match up better into T-Wave users such as Zapdos and what's called Jolteon. You also shrug off Hypnosis from Gengar, which is pretty valuable. Although if it's a Hypnosis Gengar, it's probably just gonna blow up on you. So yeah, don't get your hopes up there. But there's also one other set that I want to mention, and that's the Sub Bataya set. So where is the Bataya berry? There it is. So Originally the set has like Endure, but I think Substitute is way better, just because Substitute allows Kingdra to challenge Porygon 2, which it otherwise would have a harder time dealing with, because Porygon 2 just kind of sits there and, you know, statuses you and is just generally like a pain in the ass. Whereas like Substitute is also like a good foil for Celebi as well, because Celebi attempts to lead seed you in rain and then you substitute. And then Celebi is like, oh, well, time to spam recover, but then you get that Bataya boost, and now all of a sudden Celebi is getting completely blown away by Ice Beam. So yeah, Kingdra is really, really good. Who's up next? Lapras sucks. I've never tried it, but it probably sucks. And even if you were to use like an offensive Lapras, I guess Lapras does get Sing, but Sing is dog shit. And also, it's technically slower than Tyranitar. Not only is it slower than Tar, but it's also weak to Rock. Yeah. Oh, and here's a Ludicolo. So, Ludicolo can be like a Rain Dance Mon, but my favorite application of Ludicolo is actually a bulky Leech Seed attacker. So you use, where is it? Hidden Power Grass. So Hidden Power Grass, and then Ice Beam. So, you take max HP and Modest, and you're just really, really annoying. You have really good typing that resists a lot. You dick on water types, like especially Swampert. You dick on Swampert all day. You're hella annoying with the Leech Seed combination, and Skarmory isn't really, gonna want to take repeated surfs over and over again. And the most common Leech Seed absorbers, which is Celebi, can't Leech Seed you back, and you're not too threatened by Thunderbolt, because Thunderbolt is neutral to Ludicolo, so Ludicolo can pressure a lot of stuff in the 1v1, and also its stab is super effective against Tyranitar. It's resistant against EQ and Steel, so you can deal with Meteor Mashes better, as long as it's not Choice Band, because Choice Band still blows Ludicolo out of the water. But uh, yeah, the only thing that sucks about Ludicolo is that it's a water type that's neutral to fire, so you can't just sit there and be infinitely annoying against fire types. So yeah, that's Ludicolo. Machamp is obviously good on special offense. You take max speed, and now all of a sudden you're completely threatening, like, even the most sturdy of defensive teams. Like a popular defensive archetype is Celebi, Blissey, Skarmory, Dugtrio. That is completely torn apart by Machamp. Machamp tears that team archetype into like a new asshole, and yeah, completely shreds those type of teams apart. So like if you want a Pokemon that's really good into those super bulky defensive cores, like Machamp completely tears through them. Marowak sucks, although you could probably do some like silly like speed pass stuff to it, but like walled by Skarm and is bad. Medicham is good on special offense as like a lead. I like Lumberry Medicham. Does it get refresh? No, it does not get refresh. It does get recover though, which is cool. Medicham can do some like cool stuff. Miltank, I bet, might have a niche, but I don't know. Because it's got T-Wave, it's pretty fast, unlike Snorlax. Although its typing sucks. Pure normal is garbage. And if you want like a T-waving normal type, you should use Porygon 2. And speaking of Porygon 2, very natural fit on special offense because it traps Dugtrio, which allows a completely unique team style. It's kind of defined as its own playstyle, but P2 has a legitimate niche on special offense teams because it's a part of the old Calm Mind spam teams where it traps Dugtrio, so you can enable the likes of Celebi and Jirachi, and even Jirachi and Metagross together more optimally, without having to really worry about Dugtrio. And once Dugtrio's out of the picture, uh, you still have a perfectly fine, good Pokemon in Porygon 2, because Porygon 2 is really bulky, has Recover, spreads T-Wave everywhere, has a really good move pool, obviously. Ice Beam, Thunderbolt. P2 is going to need some help against Suicune, obviously, so you're going to want to surround P2 with Pokemon that are naturally good into Suicune. So like Jirachi, Zapdos, Metagross of Boom, perhaps. So yeah, P2 is really good on special offense. And Raikou, or yeah, Raikou. It's like Raikou, Calm Mind, Thunderbolt, HP Grass. Sometimes it's really good late game sweeper as long as you don't have to deal with you know Dugtrio, but because unlike Jolteon, it is stronger because of Calm Mind. It can run Crunch. You could also run Modest Raikou too, if you want to be completely a greedy asshole. I'd actually run Modest Raikou, honestly. It doesn't sound too bad. Especially because at +1, you are completely mauling Claydol, so that's probably not a bad idea. Regice is obviously a really good fit because it answers special attackers reasonably well, spreads around T-Wave, enjoys the fact that Blissey is gone as well. Can also blow up on Blissey too if you want to. Can do a lot of things really. You don't need Boom. You could use like a hidden power like HP Grass is amazing on Regice because Swampert doesn't enjoy taking Ice Beams, but Swampert does threaten Regice with EQ. But like with Hidden Power Grass, Swampert is getting completely obliterated and it just dies. Psych Up is really good on Regice because it allows it to turn the tables on Calm Mind, Celebi, and Suicune. Like Suicune thinks it's just safe to boost up on Regice and is just gonna sit there and be annoying, and then it rests. But then, Regice just used Psych Up, and Psych Up is also good against Raikou as well. So yeah, that's another side benefit. You completely dick on Raikou, as long as it doesn't crit you. Uh, Regirock, I have experimented with special offense in the past, and I've determined that uh, it's not a good Metagross replacement, but it's also like a good Metagross partner because you can T-Wave the likes of like Skarm and be really annoying. You could blow up on stuff like Swampert, and yeah, you could do a lot of stuff that's really cool with Regirock. I think it deserves a lot of experimentation on special offense. Registeel is also really cool on special offense because it uh like acts as like a special wall, so you do like this careful, and it is really really bulky. It's gonna take hits really well, so you would want to run like T-Wave, Seismic Toss, Uh, let's see. You get Shadow Ball? No, you don't get Shadow Ball. Explosion, and then where's Explosion? Yeah, right here. And yeah, if you want to, you could use like Protect. Of course, you're gonna be walled by Taunt Gengar, which is a problem. So maybe you'd want some Pursuit support with it, but it's not bad. Registeel is a really cool special wall that just kind of sits around and acts as a good buffer for special offense teams. Sceptile, in theory, might have something on special offense, but I think it's generally outclassed by Ludicolo because, well, that speed stat is really nice. You lack the water stab that allows Ludicolo to threaten like Metagross and the fire types, and Sceptile is going to be having trouble with Aerodactyl anyway, so it's not like it's going to be doing too much. And plus, its stab is really bad. Like, Leaf Blade is 70 base power. Garbage. Garbage, garbage, garbage. Poor Sceptile got the short end of the stick. Slowbro, not very good at all, but you definitely do like, you know, some cool stuff, I guess. You know, like Surf. You're gonna want Ice Beam. And Psychic, because Psychic allows Slowbro to, first of all, immediately OHKO Gengar, but also it challenges Suicune in the Calm Mind War. So it could actually threaten Suicune in the 1v1. But Slowbro is the same speed as Snorlax, and its typing is not really good in this meta, so maybe do not use Slowbro. I think that's it. Oh! We're not even done yet. We've been sitting here for a while. Vaporeon is obviously good, because it can run, you know, stronger than Starmie Hydro Pump, and it could do a few things. You could do like Sub Pass. We're gonna do Sub Pass. I think this set is good because, yeah, like Sub. Uh, yeah, that might be good because we're also outspeeding like neutral Metagross, I think. Yeah, and damn, that fucking edible that I ate this morning, I think is starting to take its toll on me because I'm starting to feel tired because I am recording this pretty late. So, but yeah, you could do something like this, you know, reliably pass substitutes like fighting types and stuff. And or you could just go all out offensive, or even like Acid Armor Pass. Acid Armor Pass might be funny. Although they just wear you out and you don't accomplish anything. So yeah, it's a good Pokemon, I'd say. Uh, Typhlosion sucks, unfortunately. Venusaur probably also sucks on it. Weezing, interesting option as opposed to Gengar, because Gengar's attack is pretty shitty, whereas Weezing does have a better attack stat, and Weezing has better moves for the most part. Like it has Fire Blast for one, as opposed to Fire Punch, so it can Fire Blast. And what else has it got here? Obviously, Explosion. More powerful Explosion to Gengar. Now, obviously, Gengar has way better special attack and is way, way, way faster, and its typing is way better. But I think Weezing could fulfill like some sort of niche. It definitely shines a bit better on spikeless stuff. So now we're gonna start dipping into the UU, and yeah, not a lot we could go off of here. Camerupt really sucks in special offense. Don't use it. Uh, I've tried Golduck. It's bad. Oh, here's Gorbis. So, in the past, people will talk about like Amistar as like a swift swimmer, but Amistar's typing is so bad in OU that I wouldn't even use it. Whereas you have one base point below Amistar, but you're basically hitting just as hard. So, yeah. So Gorbis and Rain is something else. It is hitting stuff really, really, really hard, and even like outside of Rain, it is crushing the likes of Tyranitar and Metagross. Like they get completely destroyed by your Hydro Pumps as they try to switch in you. And in Rain, it's just completely out of the question. Like they stand no chance against Gorbis in Rain. But obviously it's really niche because it lacks the same bulk and defensive typing that Kingdra has. Because Kingdra is actually neutral to grass and electric, whereas Gorbis is actually weak to those moves, and it's not as fast. Whereas Kingdra is actually naturally fast. Kingdra's at base 85, and plus once it's in Rain, it outspeeds everything. So yeah, Gorbis is funny. It's fun though. It definitely can do some interesting stuff. Lunatone has seen some niche stuff of Calm Mind pass, but eh. Mantine, I guess, could work under Rain, but it's a water type that's weak to rock. That's completely garbage. No one cares. And I guess the Nidos could be cool too. Oh, and here's Politoed. So, oh, brother Politoed. Or, hold on, wait. Am I just an idiot? How do I get rid of the... Oh, wait, I just delete it. No, don't turn off the computer. That'd be awful. So, alright, so this is what you do, Politoed. So, Hypnosis, Hydro with Ice Beam, and then Feeth. Because what this Politoed does is it Hypnosis is something and then steals the leftovers of a like a Suicune or a Milotic or a Blissey. It's generally really annoying. It's fairly strong, so it's actually stronger than Swampert. So, and its defenses aren't bad at all, so it can actually take a hit from like Salamence or Tyranitar if it needs to. And then the last Pokemon that I wanted to discuss is oh yeah, Wailord. So Wailord is kind of similar to Politoed. You lead with it, but unlike Politoed, you just immediately start attacking. Tyranitar, Metagross, Skarmory. Immediately you just start spamming Water Spout, and you just completely cleave through them with very powerful Water Stab. And you have the same special attack as Politoed, which isn't really bad at all in advanced. It's actually pretty good. And you just spam water moves to high heaven, until you're forced to switch out. It's actually pretty funny. Wailord actually can get some work done. Nowhere near as good as Politoed, though. Politoed has way better defenses and has sleep, and sleep tends to be better on like special offense. So before I get too tired on talking about like special offense, I might have to make another video on it. I want to talk about some of the weaknesses it has, and we'll do so by playing this replay. So this is my match against Crystal in Pokemon Perfect Tournament. I believe this is game 1. Uh, yes, this is game 1. So, As you can see here, I have something a bit more unorthodox, which is Coon lead versus Snorlax. And the idea behind sub Suicune as a lead on special offense is that you substitute on Metagross and Tyranitar, potentially even catching an explosion on Metagross. And yeah, you immediately threaten Blissey right off the rip because you can set up right in front of it. And it's just a very threatening Pokemon as a whole. But as we can see here, it's facing a Snorlax. Snorlax body slams. Isn't doing too much because it is bulky. Yes, yes. And Snorlax is 1v1ing Suicune. Starmie comes in, defensive Starmie. And defensive Starmie's kind of sitting on it. And then Calm Mind Blissey shows up and is starting to be a nuisance. So Crystal, right away we can see like an issue here because the whole goal of special offense is to trap Blissey. But then you get into a scenario where you're kind of like, oh, what happens if they have like two special walls and it's kind of like layered? As you can see, like Starmie isn't going to necessarily be crumbling in the face of something like that. And he even has like a Dugtrio as well. Like Snorlax is coming in. Snorlax ends up countering Metagross, which makes this whole interaction even more awkward because, like, if you can't even take on Snorlax with your physical attackers, it means, you're... Even, like, with Blissey, because Blissey also likes to slap on counter as well, but as we see with Crystal, she decided to use Calm Mind Blissey in that slot, which is a really good choice, which also explains the defensive Starmie, the Metagross, and the Dugtrio. Her entire team was very well thought out here. As you can see, I'm desperately trying to pivot around stuff, and yeah, that is really going to plan, so to say, and yeah, the game just kind of ends. So, and we get to game 2, and things are kind of different. So, and I get a para here. So this is definitely a calm Zapdos. So I'm able to force it to rest immediately. And she even has like a Registeel. So this is another example of like a game where there's like multiple multiple Pokemon to deal with. Also, I want to rewind here because something interesting happens. Swampert protects, and I'm able to trap Swampert with Dugtrio. You don't see that every day. So this is looking unlikely to have Blissey. And she ends up going into Tyranitar. I guess she wanted to set up the sand. But that gives Suicune a free Calm Mind. And yeah, I decide to not get greedy, and I just decide to Hydro Pump right off the rip. I think I go into Swampert here. Yeah, I do. And what's crazy about this is that this is an offensive refresh pert. So as she goes in the Fortress, Swampert just shrugs off the toxic and doesn't care. Unfortunately, that happens, but I did get lucky earlier on with the what's it called? So yeah, she doesn't have her special wall isn't Blissey. It's in fact Registeel, which is really cool because Registeel also acts as like a pseudo rock resist as well. Because it could definitely take a +1 EQ if it needs to. So she goes into Pursuit Tar, obviously, because Pursuit Tar allows Registeel to get away with running moves that are walled by Taunt Gengar. And Tyranitar is going to fall to the Zapdos. And here we see, how important the early paralysis on the Zapdos was. Because Zapdos is going to fall to Mence, but Mence is severely weakened now. And this is going to allow Regice to come in. Did I actually make the... Okay, no, I didn't make the double. I ended up going into Moltres. And Moltres has Fire Blast, so... Yeah. So what happens here? So she goes into Salamence, Fire Blast connects. And do I take the risk with Zapdos? Okay, something really interesting happens here. I think I Fire Blast Zapdos, she goes into Registeel, and then I double into Dugtrio. Yeah. Predicting the Registeel. And I think Registeel has counter. Does it have counter? It usually does run counter for Dugtrio. No, it has Seismic Toss. So her last move is Explosion. And I think I decide to go into Registeel here. Yeah. Yeah, and her Zapdos ends up being like really annoying here because it keeps phasing stuff around, and yeah, and I finally get her with the Moltres. And yeah, so and what is the last game that happens? Okay, so this is where I use yeah, so this ends up being like a bad situation, but then she ends up missing Thunder a second time. She connects with the second one, but I end up taking out the Jirachi, which is really helpful. And she ends up sending in Skarmory. And this is kind of like a highlight game here. This is kind of like showing why lead Suicune is really good. Obviously, I got lucky with the Thunder miss, but Thunder is like a iffy move anyway. And obviously, this game would be really different if she didn't miss the Thunder. So I think I sub here. Yeah, I substitute there, and she gets punished pretty hard. And that's where she goes into Bliss. I don't know if she ends up going into Skarm again. Oh, she does. Yeah, and I end up revealing Jolteon. So this is actually what's really cool about Zapdos Jolteon. So sometimes what players will do to play around Dugtrio is they'll double back out into Skarm. But in this instance, doubling back out into Skarm doesn't really do anything because Jolteon gets revealed. And Jolteon obviously threatens to KO Skarmory again, and it's threatening out Blissey. Now, I believe I get really lucky here because she makes she protects, just to get a little bit of leftovers on Skarm. It's never a bad idea. And then she makes a great move and goes into Tyranitar. And Tyranitar gets paralyzed there, which really sucks. Because I think she ends up full parrying into... Yeah, she full paras. And this has a lot of implications, too, because this allows me to knock out Tyranitar. And it forces Blissey to come in. And this allows me to get the Dug trap off without any hurdles. Now, had she broken the sub and then gone into Blissey, I would have sacked Suicune and gotten Dugtrio in that way. Of course, she would have been able to play around that even further, and I bet she would have sacked Skarm. But here we see like another complication with beat up Dugtrio in that some players will attempt to like PP stall. I think she misplays there by not attempting to PP stall it even further, but she decides to Seismic Toss it, and Blissey dies, and Starmie comes in. I end up like she's roaring around. Toxics, that fails. Aerodactyl gets revealed. Really threatening Pokemon, as I mentioned earlier. I end up sacking Dugtrio, which is a good move. And then Metagross comes out. I think what I do here is I go into Suicune? Starmie. Yeah, great move. Yeah, and this ends up completely screwing her, because she goes into Aerodactyl, which doesn't take the Ice Beam very well. do I sack Suicune? Yeah, I sure do. And Suicune dies, and Metagross comes in, and then takes the Flamethrower nicely. Doesn't appreciate the burn, which, you know. But, I end up not getting flinched, and I end up exploding on the Aerodactyl. So, this matchup was kind of tough because of the Jirachi and the Aerodactyl and the Blissey, and she also had a Tyranitar there too. But this is kind of like the highlight of special offense here is that, pressure, good offensive pressure, and with enough of that offensive pressure, you are able to. Now, obviously, I did get a bit lucky with the Tyranitar, and I was able to uh, immediately play right into my game plan. But, you know, and I'm going to pull up another game here, which is this one right here. This, is it going to load? If it doesn't load, oh well. I'm probably going to end the video here regardless. But, yeah, special offense tends to have issues with, like, defensive teams that have multiple layers. So, by multiple, like, layers, I meant, like, defensive layers. So, let's take, like, a Celebi squad, for example. So, like, Celebi, Blissey, Dugtrio, Skarm. Those teams are kind of hard to break through because you have to trap the Celebi because it's going to get in the way of your electric types and your water types. And those types of Celebis tend to be really bulky and really fast at the same time, so you can't rely on outspeeding them either. General opinion, yes. Yeah, I can't get these replays to load, but probably going to end the video here anyway. The first of many videos I intend to make. So thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you in the next one.